Hey, Soraya, how's it going?
Hey Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So we're still here. We're still doing episodes. Yeah.
That's true.
This this one should be a fun one because we've got something to talk about. So I don't know if you remember episode 99. We had Jeff McDonald and the late Howie Pyro on talking about Bill Bartell. And that was
Hmm.
a lot of fun. And of course, we both know now that there is a documentary, The Secret Lives of Bill Bartell, that everybody should see. But we're not here to talk about that documentary. We're here to talk about another documentary, aren't we?
We're here to talk about, once again, the Red Cross documentary, Born Innocent, the Red Cross story. Jeff,
Yeah.
tell our listeners who's joining us today.
So today we're talking to Jeff McDonald, one of the McDonald brothers, of course, that are in fact Red Cross. We did talk to Andrew Reich on episode 201 about this documentary. So we got his viewpoint from a filmmaker and fan. But now we get a little inside look from a band member himself with Jeff McDonald. But not just Jeff. We're going to be joined
By,
by,
of course, our guest host extraordinaire, the one and only Ronnie Barnett,
yes, yes. So this should be a lot of
who
fun.
I think who I think is probably a bigger Red Cross fan than you, or you guys may duke it out in the octagon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, either way I would lose. But and Ronnie's even a participant in this film too, so
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So
This uh, it's a great documentary, and we get to learn a little bit more about how you can see it, watch it, and enjoy it.
yeah.
But also we get a little time with Jeff McDonald too, so that's really, really special and a repeat customer, which is even better, repeat guest. So Jeff, I say let's get started.
Let's do it.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff,
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme.
a podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a grooviar.
Let's get groovy. All right,
All right.
Soraya, you ready to get started?
I say we
Yes.
do it. Everybody, listeners, you are in for a treat. Joining us today, along with the great Ronnie Barnett, our guest host, is the one and only Jeff McDonald of Red Cross.
Woo! Yay. So, Soraya, you mentioned Red Cross, so it's a great time to be a fan of Red Cross. Within the last year and a half, we had this great release, this double album. And Ronnie noticed this great Obi strip.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes. A double album, in fact. And
Okay.
um, then we got this. Now You're One of Us. So we talked to Dan Epstein about this. So co-written by Jeff and his brother Steve, Henry, Born Innocent, the Red Cross story. So it's finally available, Jeff.
Spain.
That's kind of touring I could do at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it's fine. I got a whole list of documentaries that like have been knocking around the circuit for years. That I haven't got to see. There's one of the Lunatics,
Yeah, I haven't
Garland
seen that one
Jeffers.
yet.
Yeah, Willie DeVille. There's a whole bunch of them.
There's a really good the Carol Doda one. It's really-
Which one?
Carol Doda. She wasn't a rock places. I mean, reviews have the reviews have been pretty good. I don't know. Did they do a Rotten Tomatoes for that film?
Ooh, that's a good. I don't know.
We need to find that out. Sorry.
Yeah.
There probably is. Yeah, I want. That's curious. I'm curious about that now. Basement where you have your records. Like, how many records are down there? What all is down? I assume it's a basement. What room is that?
I can probably show you this room.
Yeah, so that's maybe in there and
Records, books, every cassette tape I ever. So it's
good compliment.
right.
It's sad.
Well, I have audio tapes from
Oh yeah.
Rodney's show from the 70s.
Oh right.
And they sound good so because I used TDK tapes instead of like crappy, sound design tape.
Right.
They still play.
And it's not like you wore them out playing them back, and you probably
Well,
put them
then I
away.
did because I didn't have like records by the Scream yet. So it was like, it was our early streaming.
So that Kim Fowley screenplay is somewhere in that room.
That came back I recently discovered the actual envelope.
Wow.
I was in my parents' there's a closet in Steven's old room that it just has a cup. It's just a little section, and there are a few things left over from when Steven lived in the house. And I found that, but I could not find the transcript for roommates. But there's still a chance, because I can't imagine saving the envelope and then talking read it, mainly go against. I don't know. But yeah, well, I'll look for it. I'll in the minute I find it, we'll see. Maybe Ronnie, maybe we can get together.
Fantastic. Yeah, count me in.
I got a question about the film, Jeff. I love the interplay between you and your brother. It's interesting the dynamic that you guys have in some of the interviews where you were both in the room and then some separately. But there was one at the beginning where Steve was talking about how you would antagonize the counterculture, and you threw in until we could learn how to play. And I thought that was really interesting that the antagonizing was for a period of time, but then once you learned how to play, it wasn't maybe necessary anymore.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we came up during the punk rock, but we started with the original punk rock scene in Los Angeles, which was a much more of a musical, artful thing. So then all of a sudden, all the kids of hassling us at school became punk rockers, and that was hardcore in the Orange County scene. So it was really fun, to be to be if you were to present yourself as a star, as a rock star with an image, it was just get under everyone's skin. It was early trolling. But yeah, we'd throw people off until we kind of figured out what we were doing.
even with some of the pranks that were happening, right? With some of the trolling. I have to bring up Poison because we had interviewed Bill Hine, who was sounded like he was a little bit disappointed because he was looking forward to signing or did sign Red Cross, but he learned by watching the film or reading the book that you decided not to go with Enigma because Poison had got like 15 grand more than you were offered or something along those lines. So it was interesting to hear how disappointed Bill was that you didn't go with Enigma.
Bill Hine was so great, and Enigma was such a fun way to be a part of because it was such mixed nuts. I mean, to have a group like us and our our Teen Babes from Monsanto period and Striper on the same label. It was incredible. No, I think when we were crank calling our A&R person at Enigma, we told them that we were mad because we told them that that Poison was mad because Striper was getting more promotion.
Oh yeah.
I think we ended up, we were going to do a rock opera with Bill after we did our Teen Days. Our next record was supposed to be a rock opera called The Shroud of Glory Bono Christ. And we were down to talk about producers. I really wanted Sonny Bono really bad, but he was the mayor of Palm Springs at the time and had retired from music. And then we just kind of forgot about that. And I don't know, we just kind of lost touch with Bill and ended up with other people.
Yeah, but how did Bill Bartel get the Gasatanka? How did he get that deal with Enigma to distribute his label?
I guess, who knows? He was Gasatanka became like an imprint of Enigma. I don't know. He just pitched it. He had a couple himself, his band, White Flag. He had us, and he had the FUs and a couple of bands. They were down with flowing a few dollars cash and letting Bill use their machine to distribute the music. But I don't know how they. I really dealt with Bill Bartel at that.
Yeah, it's just one of those Bill Bartell things, right? I got to deal with Enigma. Like we should
Yeah.
also plug the film The Secret Lives of Bill Bartell.
Yeah, The Secret Life of Bill Bartell. Yeah, that's another. So it's kind of like, it's like weird home movies.
Yes.
Our various extended family, and you're very much a part of that, Ronnie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, it is weird that there's a film on Red Cross and a film on Bill now.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That one you can't stream anywhere yet, folks, but it'll happen. It'll happen.
The people are really loving it. And that's, for people who don't know who Bill is, or, just the history behind them, it's probably just gonna just baffle people in the best possible way.
Yeah, I was curious to the reaction of people that didn't know Bill watching the film, and there's been a couple of podcasts, and people seem to be intrigued with him. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, anyone who would put Madonna's trash on eBay, seriously was going to sell it. He was brilliant. I mean, Bill was a brilliant person. Bill was a person like, being, he's one of my best friends. Anything that, like, if I thought of some outrageous thing, and just off the top of my head, I'd just spit it out. And he'd go, oh, and he would actually follow through with this.
Yeah.
That's how like the theater tots came. We were just talking about Linda McCartney and Yoko Ono. I suggested to Bill, oh yeah, we should just do a tribute band, and that's all about Linda Easton and Yoko Ono, called the Tater Tots. And that's all I said, and that was in years later. He made it happen.
Yeah.
So I missed that about him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I love those records. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and the special guest, that was one of Bill's arts too, roping in people from, like Dot Wiggin from the Shags. Like all of a sudden Bill's got songwriting credits because he got her to contribute lyrics to something.
Oh, I know. And like I'm going to New York to see the Shags, or I'm going to Brazil to see Os Thompsons.
Yeah. It was funny.
And Bill was following the Plastic Ono band around. The Sean and Yoko version did a small tour.
Yes.
And I remember it was one of the last conversations I really had with Bill. He was talking about, he was in Ohio or somewhere, and he was walking down the street, and Sean had seen them. Bill, and then took them in and hung out, and they got to hang out with Sean and Yoko's hotel room after the gig. I'm like, man, you made it.
Yeah. Getting back to the early Red Cross punk, Jeff, I always wanted to know about the church. Like
the church.
Like the scene in the decline, it's the Black Flag scene that says downstairs. Now, was there a basement to that, or how was it laid out, the church?
Yeah, that was the basement. That was actually underground. I guess at one point it was like a utilities closet. But Ron Reyes and Joe Milton from The Last lived down. And then once we became friends with all those people, and Ron joined our band, we rehearsed it. And like, we would have been in some decline too. We would have been in decline as well, but like right before that happened, Ron quit and Greg quit, and the Circle Jerks formed, and Ron joined Black Flag. So we were just kind of watching from the sidelines.
Wow. Which is why the Circle Jerks almost seems like an afterthought in the movie, right? There's no interview.
They were very fresh. They were very
Yeah. It's just live footage. Yeah, there's no interview. Okay, and then yeah. And when Chuck is talking about the hippies that live next door or something, like, yeah.
Well, I think after the church kind of, after it was no longer a church, in the 70s, I think, craft hippies moved in. And there was like people who made stained glass and macrame plant holders. And like the Hermosa Beach, you would think that, the hippies would have, embraced the punks for being, arty. It was not the case at all. And Hermosa Beach, like, it's where people from the 60s and hippies ended up turning into Trumpers. Like all those people. They were into Reagan. They were all like super, super conservative, and they just hated the punk rockers almost as much as the cops.
Wow, kind of like a lot of old punks now are conservative, right?
Yeah, because those guys were like left over from the '60s, like in 1979 or whatever. The hippies, the craft hippies upstairs, they were definitely, they were like in their 40s.
So upstairs, is that the actual church part? Like the
No, the actual church is the ground level.
okay.
There was the big ground level where the actual church used to be, but all the pews, everything was gone. All that was left was the stage. But we only played there once because we didn't want to disturb the hippies because they would call the cops.
Right.
So there was one show there, and then around the corner, in the very back, in another utility closet was where Black Flag had their room, and Greg had his FSP electronics shop.
Right. Right. How many bathrooms are in the church?
There was plenty of bathrooms. This is the thing. Plenty of bathrooms. They were almost like the kind you had in grammar school, but there were no showers. So it was the first time, like we were like suburban kids. It was the first time I'd ever met anyone who didn't take showers. So they would literally go months without showers, and it was extra funny for Joe Nolte from The Laughs because he was an actual fry cook in a burger joint. So he would just be over the burgers and fries, just getting all greasy all day, and then come home and rehearse with his band, and then do the same thing again. So people were very filthy. But I never really met filthy people like that. And one thing I really remember very clearly is when going to Greg's. Greg had his room right then, and I swear I was so down. I could be making this up in my mind, but I swear I carried this for years. There was literally mushrooms growing from the carpet. So I had never met like these kind of real, artist types. It's fun.
Yeah.
And not the fun kind of mushrooms, it sounds like.
No, there's mold.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the film. There's parts of the film that you describe as boring, and I don't want to get into like the whole drug thing, but the Rock Against Drugs that you did with Vicky Peterson, I recall seeing that little skit, and we primarily talk about the Paisley Underground on here, so I wanted to talk about that. I think Vicky described it as annoying or something,
She said it was cute but sweet.
Cute.
Which is cringe. It's cringe but sweet. Which was so sweet of her to say because, it was like, of course I mean, for me, I've never really been on camera before, professionally. So it was really awkward, and I can see it as just, oh my God. And I still to this day can't look at it. I just kind of close my eyes and kind of rock back and forth. That's part of the movie.
was that ad lib, Jeff, or was that a script?
Yeah, well, they just had us, cuddling and talking to each other. So there was really no direction. That's why it's so odd. The thing was, at the time, I was Vicky too. Me and Vicky were probably the only people involved in that campaign that weren't on drugs because, there was Vince Neil, the height of my Rocks period, or 5 months later, and Belinda Carlisle was still famously out of her mind. I know that from now being an insider. And so it was hilarious.
Was there a crew? Did they have like a film crew? And
yeah. So that's why I think I got nervous. Like I think I can read that on my face. It was like they had professional cameras and a crew but no direction. And I think that was the problem. They didn't tell us what to do or what to say. And it was just scary. I remember the same thing happened on the Bangles video, If She Knew What She Wants. Sue's mom directed that video. And I'm in that as well as Vicky's boyfriend. And no direction. So it was another one of those moments on film that I just watch. I can't.
So did you get less direction from them than you got from David Markey doing his?
Oh yeah, by the time Dave Markey, by that time with Dave Markey, it was we were all in it. We all knew what we were doing at that point. And that Super 8 kind of plastic camera sense, there was nothing to be intimidated by. I think it was the professional gear that scared us.
Right.
Because I think Dave's camera, the one that he used for that movie and both Love Dolls film, and maybe even had it on Year Punk Broke, it was plastic. It was a
Wow.
plastic camera with a plastic microphone.
Wow. Yeah, interesting, because Love Doll Superstar looks a little better. You know what I mean? It looks a little higher quality. Like,
Yeah, well, Dave got, he got better at the photography aspect of it. I think it was the same Bell and Howell plastic camera that he'd had since he was a kid. I think he gave it to Thurston as a gift.
wow. Was it your idea to do the Coors Light song?
Well, yeah, that we were just kind of riffing. I sang that song at the Venice Beach on a rainy afternoon during the week, and the only people that were there were me. I was playing a hobo,
Yeah.
a street buster, and we were surrounded by hobos.
Yeah.
That's what we called them then. Now you see
Yes.
the unhoused community, but it was like very really. We tried to incorporate them and use them in the film, and there's a couple of those people made it into the film. Yeah.
Those are classic films. Those are so.
Yeah, look those up, folks, if you haven't seen them. Desperate Teenage Love Dolls and Love Doll Superstar.
Yeah, I think with the movie, our film, the Born Innocent film, when it comes out on Blu-ray, we go deep into the whole Dave Markey and Love Dolls era of Red Cross. We don't cover it in our movie because I guess it's just, I guess you have a career that lasts 45 years. It's kind of hard to stuff it all into like 89 minutes.
No, that's the great thing about the documentary, Jeff, is that like it can appeal to the fan and the person who knows nothing about you, and that's a mark of a great documentary.
Yeah, and like you as well. I mean, I've watched every documentary that's ever put on my face. So
yes,
and I always love the ones when they're about people that I don't know that I'm just completely into. It's so I'm hoping that has that effect on people. I hear that it does.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to talk about some of the people that are in the film, like Ronnie Barnett. And for those that haven't seen it, you'll get to hear how Robert Hecker makes ramen from Ronnie here. So in detail. So that's worth seeing alone for that.
I love your description, Ronnie, because it really it really, you really come to sum Robert up.
I'd always heard that, Jeff, and then I got scared when I saw the movie, and then I saw Robert. I go, that's true, right? And he's like, it was beautiful. And he kissed me on the lips.
Yeah, he used to, Robert. He was so thrifty that instead of boiling spaghetti, he would soak it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with oatmeal. But I guess, like when I finally met his wife, Charlene, after they'd been married for a while, when I finally got a chance to talk to her, to get to know her, she told me that Robert once served her on a date spaghetti. And she was so offended, she threw it against the wall. So, oh my God, he's with the right person. Thank you.
Another good one. You know how Robert's never drank alcohol or anything? I heard he drank a cup of coffee once, and he was like, "Oh, I was dehydrated for a week."
Yeah, Robert is great. Robert should have. There should be a whole film about Robert. I think when Andrew was filming, I think they filmed Robert hours and hours and hours, and I think it was like kind of a challenge to try to get to understand. Like with Robert, I always am able to translate for him,
right?
Because he would speak that dialect, that kind of San Pedro, almost Mike Watt descendants dialect that doesn't always make sense to people. So that was always my thing.
What? Before we leave Robert, I want to ask if this is true, Jeff. I always heard that Robert on the Neurotica tour played the Gone Troppo album by George Harrison, like relentless, like over and over in the van.
Well, yeah, that's what we, in those old days, and I'm sure you have the same experiences. Like everyone would share the tape deck, so it was everyone's chance to play their tape. And Robert just kept playing. I think he got Gone Troppo in 33 and a third by George Harrison at Music Plus in the cutout bins where they belong. And I remember one time, but it was either Gone Troppo or 33 and a third, just like he was playing it, and I just took it out and threw it out on the highway.
There you go. Yeah, once Kim in our van, Jeff, woke up and I was playing UFO, and she got mad and said, "Don't play that even when I'm asleep." She thought it was going to sink into her songwriting somehow. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I can see that happening.
Jeff,
Doctor, please. What?
Yeah.
is there anybody that you wish was in the film that didn't make it to the film?
Um, I don't know, not really. I mean, I love that, you know, whatever. I love everybody who's in this film, and I don't know. We kind of wanted to get Courtney Love because we had some like prankster battles with her at one point, but yeah, she was impossible to find. But that was about it. I mean, it was a great combination of people, and it was so great when I first saw it to see Kim Shattuck.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. It was just like, oh my God, it was just like she was right there.
No, that is so great. They found that. Yeah, because Steve Appleford had interviewed her. That's how they had that.
Yeah.
No, the dedication at the end, that always gets me, Jeff, when I see the film. The dedication to her and Eddie. So
yeah.
With limited time, I did want to see if I can get your hot take on a unrelated topic, and it means I gotta change clothes. Hopefully, I can do this
whoa.
decent.
Then you have the Vinnie Vincent Linda Blair shirt.
I wanted to know, Jeff, your opinion of Kiss. I don't want to be influential in asking this, but I wanted to get your opinion of Kiss's album, Music from the Elder, the greatest Kiss album ever.
I don't know that it's the greatest Kiss album ever, but if I'm in the proper mood, I'm into it. But see, I'm a gigantic Kiss fan, and like even to this day, I'll be watching YouTube, and I'm thinking like, why am I watching these Kiss live? And why am I still doing this? But I am. The Elder is one of those records. I had never heard the Gene Simmons solo album. I was really impressed with that being very
yeah. No, time has been kind to the Gene solo album.
Yeah, it's a lot better than Paul's.
Oh well, no, Paul's is Paul. I don't think there's got to be a best, but Paul's is my favorite.
Ace.
Oh, Paul's is your favorite.
It is my favorite. Yeah.
Wow.
So we could talk Kiss. We should have talked Kiss the whole time.
No. I know it's dangerous territory because like I'm still very much in the scene. I saw Kiss play like a million times without makeup.
Oh wow, yeah.
I saw Lick It Up tour. I saw Vinnie Vincent. The majesty of Vinnie Vincent. Yeah, so I could go on forever.
No, it's like you say, Jeff. It's weird because I'm the same way. Like, yeah, there are better records. Like maybe Led Zeppelin 2 is a better record, but I can listen to Kiss just over and over for some reason.
I don't know what it is. It's just there is something. In fact, the other night I found myself I was well into the Gene Simmons live concert. Yeah.
It
was on YouTube.
I watched it too. Yeah.
We'll talk.
Gene Simmons, I've always thought had the better voice. Paul had the big, crazy rock and roll voice, but Gene's voice was always a little bit more pop, which was strange because he was the dragon demon, but he had the kind of more Beatles sensibility.
True.
So with 2 minutes left, I did want to tie it back into the film. In the film, you guys, in talking about Deuce in 1984, you said at the time that Kiss was the most unhip band in our scene. So I did want to tie that back in. But for all those who haven't seen it, redkrossfilms.com, what you would pay for a coffee or two, you can see this film. And I think you could watch it for 24 hours or 48 hours or something along the lines. And don't forget this book.
Don't forget the album.
And the album.
With this fantastic Obi strip. So yeah. Double album. It's great. The first album, double album by Red Cross. So Jeff, we wanted to thank you for coming on and encouraging our listeners to go watch this film. It's great. Like Ronnie said, whether you're a Red Cross fan or not, our listeners are Red Cross fans. But even if you're not, like my wife, who could care less about anything musical, she loved the film. So,
Oh wow, great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
yep. So go see this. Thanks, Jeff. We
All
really
right.
appreciate you
Thank you
taking
so much.
time.
Thank you guys. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Jeff, see you soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
See you, Ronnie.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
First of all, very cool that Jeff McDonald came on. And now I see. I think we got to add one more person to the biggest Kiss fan octagon, and that's Jeff McDonald.
Oh God. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
are going to duke it out because I tip my hat to a guy that can one watch and listen to the Gene solo album, which is always kind of lower in the echelon of Kiss solo albums.
No,
So
Soraya, you need to listen to it again. It's very varied. It's not. It's quite
I'm
good.
gonna go on YouTube and find the concert. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's from Saturday night. It's funny that both. Yeah.
Oh
Jeff.
my God.
Jeff might have watched it too.
All right. So Kiss discussion aside.
Sorry
Um,
about that.
no, hey, what I liked was Jeff doing a wardrobe change. But
Yeah.
again, this film is worth seeing and it's worth streaming it. The story of this band is one that I'm so glad Andrew Reich and I'm so glad Dan Epstein did this band a service in telling their story and getting it out there in and look at how many ways we have it available, either book or film, and both are different.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
different and complementary, but it's the story of this band that is so compelling. And I know that, or I believe that just by streaming the film, by seeing the film, more people came to the band or had a better understanding of it. Because just before we logged on, I wanted to remind myself, and I watched their performance on Jimmy Kimmel. And you just go, they're so much fun. And when you
Yeah.
think of what's the time, think of the time between Babes of Monsanto and to now, still good, still strong, still fun to watch. And this film, I think, tells this story and kind of helps put the building blocks together.
Yeah,
I thought
absolutely.
it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people definitely need to see this. And you guys, you caught that he was talking about the Blu-ray edition, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
with
So,
with additional stuff. So all the talk about the Love Dolls era, boom.
Yeah. There's going to be lots. There's going to be lots to see on the extras. It's going to be good. Like, and Andrew's a fan just like us, the filmmaker. So like, he knows what we want to see. He knows what's good. And yeah, the Blu-ray will be well worth
yeah,
getting.
do
Yeah.
people still buy a physical product like that, or will this be like digitally available as
Some do.
well?
No, it'll be. I'm sure it'll be physical, but it'll probably be maybe through the the film site or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to jump ahead. Who knows? They got a book deal. Maybe they get a deal for the DVD or the Blu-ray
Yeah.
or the DVD and the Blu. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah. We're here for it.
Yeah,
For
the
sure.
big companies. It's weird with Blu-rays now. There's all these good boutique kind of companies, like Arrow and but you got to buy them. You got to buy them online, and no shops are really carrying them, anymore. So
The other question I'm wondering because when he mentioned Blu-ray, literally I wrote that down. I was like my ears perked up. I'm wondering what hidden gem of music we're going to find on there.
yeah,
Because Jeff is the keeper, he's the keeper of the flame, keeper of the record. So I'm wondering what he's got to drop something on there.
yeah.
I know we're going to get more surprises on that Blu-ray.
The fact that they don't throw anything away is amazing. Even an envelope,
Hello,
a
the
mailing
envelope
envelope.
of the Kim Foley,
Yep.
Screenplay transcript.
Yep.
And I'm glad, Ronnie, you asked about the record collection, because that was something that I definitely perked my interest in watching and rewatching it this afternoon as well.
Yeah. I had just some notes of just like I was intrigued with that room. Like they're in this room, and
Mhm.
there's stuff other than records too. You can see on those shelves. Like it's, you know, I know. I wanted to ask about the fish and chip place that Jeff worked.
Ah.
Didn't get to that one. And then the church. Sorry, I've always been curious all those details about the church. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we knew it was an abandoned church and Black Flag lived there, some hippies lived there, but how was it laid out? You know me, I got to know logistics, how many bathrooms, you
Yeah.
know.
But see, it's like plenty of bathrooms.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
no,
you know, but I like the mention of the utility closet. Well, that was Black Flags.
yeah,
And, you know,
yeah,
and the
yeah,
mushroom growing in the carpet tells
yes.
you everything you need to know.
And you know somebody tried those mushrooms, Jeff,
Oh yeah.
even if they
Yeah.
weren't the magic kind.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Um,
sure. I'm sure.
And I'm just imagining a Joe Nolte who back in the day was already a steadfast performer. Just
yep,
fry cook
cooking,
sweat, and then
sweating. Yeah.
banging out all the last hits. Yep.
So Ronnie, when is the Muffs documentary gonna happen? We're getting these great documentaries. We really need a Muffs documentary.
Yeah, somebody get in touch with me.
All
Um,
right.
you know, one was started back in like 2013 or so, but
And that's where the clip of Kim came from, or that was later, right?
no, that was something else. Yeah, the Kim clips came from yeah, I mentioned Steve Appleford, who's the director of photography on this Red Cross movie. That so he had that footage. I don't know what he interviewed her for. I don't know what that was for specifically, but
Okay.
that's how they had that footage of Kim. But yeah, no, this guy started it, and they kind of got. He was supposed to. He was a guy that worked in TV on the East Coast. He was going to move to the West Coast. It didn't work out. I think that's kind of what put a stop to it. Nice
Okay.
guy. When Kim passed away, I heard from him, and
Oh.
he was actually like, "Let's get this going again." He'd actually completed some things. He did a documentary about the Wedding Present, that band.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, he's got some good stuff. I remember he did interview all of us, you know, a few times and shot some stuff. I remember Kim didn't like her angle um,
Uh,
because he shot her driving. So it was her, Kim didn't like her profile.
oh,
So,
okay.
um, but I remember him sending footage of me and Roy, like, what do you think of this? I'm like, I think it's great.
So do you think
So,
there's enough footage available to put something together from the different interviews that you guys have done? It's just a matter
um,
of compiling it.
I do. Yeah. And there's stories and there's people and, you know, we don't have a kidnapping story or anything. Um,
Well, there's that one Jim Laspisa time, but
there's
yeah.
there's some drama. Um,
Definitely drama.
yeah, Jim kidnapped me that time. We'll just make something up. Um, yeah. Thanks for asking though, Jeff. You never know. You never know what's going to happen day to day. But
All right. So for now, we do have a Red Cross documentary, redcrossfilms.com. You hear
yep.
that, Andrew? We're pimping it.
Yes, Andrew, you can stream it now.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And it's definitely worth seeing.
no, and thanks you two for having me along again. And Soraya, I always love this part the best, the end, because you sum up everything perfectly after it's all after it's all done. You try to make sense of it and make it seem smart.
She puts a
Well,
bow on
it is.
packages it, puts it in a bow. So
Yeah.
after all of our rambling, it
Yes.
the professor comes in and
Exactly. Exactly.
I give you the synthesis. No, I mean it's such an interesting discussion. This is a great band. And Ronnie, we've had you on to talk about this band. And
Yeah.
it's like it just seems such a logical step. Like talked about with the filmmaker,
Yeah.
talked about the book. No, of course, with the McDonald brother, heck yeah, gotta be there. And
Yeah.
then you know, I thought I had the reference for why Kim where the interview came from, but I didn't have the origin. But I will say this.
Yeah.
In my notes from when we talked to Andrew, I have not everything is in the book. There is a Blu-ray. So way back when,
Yeah.
this back in January. No, sorry, November.
Yeah.
Back in November of last year. I think we all just forgot. And also I wanted to say about the Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
They have an entry, but no reviews yet.
Oh,
So
Ah.
I think this is an opportunity, folks, to
Yeah.
get your stream on and go
Yes.
get your Rotten Tomatoes review on, and let's give them
now
some
that it's
love over there too. It's a very well done documentary.
agreed, and now that it's more
Yeah.
widely available, rather than just seeing it in a theater in Spain or a theater one day in
Yeah.
LA. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Some town you're not in. Yeah.
But how
Drives
cool
me
is that?
nuts. Yeah.
Spain, Sweden, US. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
shows you Red Cross Global.
yep. And they're still going. They're going on tour. They're touring Europe this summer. So
right.
continues on. I mean, Red Cross has played live more in the past year and a half than they probably played in the 20 years before that. So yeah. I
So
know some of
good.
those years they were inactive, but still.
All we care about is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All we care about is right now. And they're still killing it. So
Jeff,
agreed.
you want to take a shirt off again, Jeff? Before
is
the
there
end here?
another shirt?
No,
Is it like Red Cross, Kiss, and then I don't know, Ace?
we don't want
Yeah.
it anymore.
Yeah. No, let's see
No,
that.
we don't want to take this off
Let's
anymore.
see that fur vest you have on under there.
We'll pass on that.
Okay.
We'll save our viewers.
Oh my gosh. But this was a ton of fun. Thanks again to Jeff McDonald and
Yes.
go redcrossfilm.com.
Yes.
All right, mi gente. Agruviar.
Groove on, Paisley people.
Woo! Oh no.
Okay, we're gonna have to log back on and we'll finish this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Should we leave or
Yeah. We'll
Or
have
do you want to just get booted mid-sentence?
yeah, you're right. It can't hurt, right? Okay, we'll leave and then all right, Jeff. Don't leave
You
me
got it.
hanging. Okay.
I won't.